Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now Point Black is on the scene. You know what I'm saying? And I got another one coming in. This one is based on the economical overstanding of a few years put together. And here's the evidence that shows the 40 years or more of the democracy or demon democracy. You know what I'm saying? More like trickery. You know what I'm saying? Talking about politics, more like politricks. You know what I'm saying? And this will show exactly what they were doing to our economy. And listen to the explanation by Jean Claude Nutcase ass, black ass, dumbass, Pierre, and the other idiots that's up there with her. You know what I'm saying? Trying to explain their garbage away. And this is another great Doc Rich that's coming in on this one. You know what I'm saying? Because Doc is always on his job. And I love it. I love it. I wish one day me and him could get together and, really, do the thing. I'm not trying to get nothing to my channel. I just want to be a part of us forming a stronger group or coalition or standing together all as one. We could all be on the same thing at the same time, you know what I'm saying, on the same page where we get, certain things said and done out there that should be said and done out there, such as what the great Doc Rich is doing right now. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna give him, as you can see, that thumbs up. You know what I'm saying? I already put describe, but you guys can hit the subscribe button for Doc Rich. You know what I'm saying? Get Doc up in there, you know what I'm saying? And keep this man going. This man is on fire. You know what I'm saying? Now check out this one by Doc Rich that I think is another classic of his you know information highway. You know what I'm saying? And he's showing the results to many black people that you need to really take a good long look at, you know what I'm saying, based on your economical status here in the United States. And that goes for white people as well now. You know what I'm saying? You have facilitated for years along with these demon Democrats. You kept voting voting Democrats, no matter what anyone said to you. We've been telling you for years. I know I have. You know what I'm saying? I just hadn't had a platform to do so. I used to talking to people in the streets. You know what I'm saying? Because I always hit the streets. Anybody knows me know that they call me Mr. Talk Too Much. You know what I mean? But I'd be at Walmart, Kmart. It doesn't matter where. And a lot of people I hear complaining, and I approach them, and me and them have a little discussion as we're leaving out the store, and they say the same thing. You know what I mean? The demon Democrats is on the verge of treason to this country for 47, 50 years straight, fighting that stupid ass war from inside. That's why they got in the government. I mean, they were always had a democratical overstanding, and even during slavery, many of the slave masters were Democrats. That's what they were. They weren't no Republicans, because Republicans wasn't even around. Republicans came in after the freedom of slavery on black people's neck, which started to bring up civil rights and so forth and so on. You know what I'm saying? The Republican Party was created by 150 black men that put their life on the line. Could you imagine at that time? At that time, the black men stood up with, I think, 12 Anglo-Saxons, they were saying, and created a Republican Party. 150 black men, you know what I'm saying, stood up and started the Republican Party. You know what I mean? To bring freedom to all and freedom in itself. You know what I'm saying? And the demon Democrats found every single way, you know what I'm saying, especially because they lose the war and, they had to free the slaves and so on. They didn't want to do that. They feel that there's some special race on planet Earth and they have a right to do the things they do. The evidence shows in the very overstanding of what we see Bush did to the World Trade Center just to go into Afghanistan. He blamed the Afghans for knocking down the World Trade Center when they did not. Then when they put the pressure on them and tell them that they cannot come to the military memorial or whatever until they release the records, Bush released the records after doctoring the records and said that the Saudis did it. Now the Saudis is over there shooting Ethiopians. Same migrants fleeing, like they flee into America, these migrants coming over the border. You know what I'm saying? They went into Ethiopia because Ethiopia probably talked about damming up the Nile, which is a river up, because the Nile River runs all the way up into Ethiopia. Ethiopia is where where the river comes down through there into Egypt. And without any water in Egypt, you know what I'm saying, Israel is in trouble. And many other countries down there that rely on the Nile will be in trouble. So every time the Ethiopians mention anything like the General Salomon said about damming the river and so on and so on, they cause a civil war. They use the other guys, the other Arabs up above, the Eritreans, whatever they are. I don't know what the fuck they are. You know what I'm saying? And they come down into Ethiopia and they cause a whole corruption to where it becomes a civil war, to where they're raping the women right in front of the husband and the children. Vulgarness at its highest level. You see, so we have to start to look at this thing from a more understanding as to what is really have taken place, because you could clearly see across the planet, even with Antifa Party, the killing weasel over there in Africa, you know what I'm saying, and African leaders allowing them in to bring in all kind of corruptive medicine, you know what I'm saying, you know, and even bringing in genetically, I call it genetically failing seeds, and have the people believing that those seeds are good and they're planting them and doing all the hard labor work and just to have the crops fail, because that's what the seeds were designed to do. You know what I'm saying? Even giving generic food and all kinds of garbage ass bullshit they're doing, even right here in America. So that goes to show you the type of mind frame that these demon democratic whole administration for all these years have been no more than a Ku Klux Klan attack on the United States government in order to call themselves still fighting that war. You know what I'm saying? Because if you go back and look at many of the pictures, you know, even old cowboy movies, if you look at those, you would see where they even have a film where the Ku Klux Klan Confederates or whatever they call it still had a war going long after the war was over. You know what I'm saying? And then they were using the Indians, you know what I'm saying, the final Indians or whatever you want to call them, you know what I'm saying, they were using the Indians and joining up with them, you know what I'm saying, to transport guns and all kinds of different shit was going on and protect them and shit across the plain. You know what I'm saying? So they were using America's, which shouldn't have been no enemy, you know what I'm saying. They created the enemy with the indigenous people, you know what I'm saying, the original people of the land, you know what I'm saying, and its offspring. They created that war to where they even had badges that said Indian killer, you know what I'm saying. So we know for well now the Confederates figure, you know, that's, you know, the United States, you know, arch enemy, you know what I'm saying. So at the same they were working with them in order to bring about certain things. You know what I'm saying? So we see how they would use our very own enemies in order to achieve their goal. You know what I'm saying? But now let's look at what Doc Rich has to say based on the economical status that they claim supposed to be their grand plan. And listen to what Jean-Claude Pierre says at the end. So without further ado, let's go in and let's get Doc Rich online. I love this guy.
The American public is not feeling it. Just 34% of Americans approve of Biden's handling of the economy in a recent AP poll that was released at the end of June. And only 20% of voters believe the nation is on the right track, though voters have not felt good about the direction of the country for over a decade. And Biden is trying to persuade voters that the economy is better than they think it is.
The cost of housing is astronomical, but what happened in the past 4 years is the problem. Check out the difference between 1995 to 2019 to 2023. So the complaining from us millennials started probably 2020, but this is why. So in 1995, the average house was $130,000. You put down 20%, that's $26,000. The interest rates were 7.8% back in 1995, and your principal and mortgage would be around $753. Now I'm going to save the average incomes for last. Now, 2019, $260,000. Not bad over 25 years. It only doubled. So the down payment would be $52,000, and there was only a 4% interest rate. So the monthly payment for principal and interest was $993. So this difference was not bad at all. Here's where the jump happens. This is what, okay, 2023, the average home jumped to $419,000. The down payment would be $84,000. The interest rate was similar to 95, which is 7.24%, but that would leave you with a monthly payment of $2,283. Now let's go with the average incomes. In 1995, it was $29,000. In 2019, it was $56,000. In 2023, it is still $56,000. So in 1995, 31% of your income could be used for housing. You could get it into a house. In 2019, it was only 21% of your income. In 2023, it is 49% of your income.
50%. Half. And I've talked about this in previous videos. So, I hear, a lot of these young folks when they talk about, the cost of everything, and when they kind of want, this socialist movement because it's been portrayed as this good thing and, it helps everybody. And I can't necessarily blame them too much because they've been hurt. I mean, look at this. Look at this. 50, and that's if you're making $56,000. That equates to what, like $29, $30 an hour? I think it's somewhere around there, probably, right? I don't know the exact math, but I would say it's probably around $30 an hour or something. 56,000. For my math wizards, let us all know in the comment section. I would assume that's around $30 an hour, right? So I mean, I don't know about y'all, but $30 an hour. I don't see too many Gen Z folks making $30 an hour. I don't think that's happening. So it's even more than half of income. I mean, you're not buying that kind of house regardless, but whew, that is nuts. That is insane. A down payment of $84,000. $84,000. $2,300 a month. My goodness.
Plus the cost of living, plus the cost of groceries. So the past 4 years is the problem. This is why millennials and first-time homebuyers are complaining now, because the disparity between 95 and 2019 over 25 years was not that big of a deal. It was moving like it was supposed to.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to that guy. That is Freddie Smith. Freddie Smith. Shout out to Freddie Smith. Revealing those numbers there, which are just eye-popping numbers. That is insane. Insane. You go from less than 30% of your income to almost half. That is crazy. That's nuts. Oh, my goodness. Insane. But let's continue on.
Bidenomics is pretty simple. It's just bigger government, more spending, and higher prices. And I've said this before, at least in Louisiana, inflation is gutting my people like a fish. My people are getting really good at barely getting by. And in America, you shouldn't have to take an early distribution from your retirement account or sell blood plasma in order to go to the grocery store. And President Biden is out there saying prices are high, and your 401k is crashing because the economy is so good. That's what he just doesn't get it.
Your 401k is crashing because the economy is great. And that's been one of the things that they've been trying to push out here is this narrative that everything is all sunshine and rainbows and peachy and it's all good, and it's just like, nah. The American people know what's going on. We feel it. We go to the grocery store. We pump gas, right? We pay bills. We see what's going on. This stuff is just getting out of control. But let's hear it from their mouths themselves.
Most Americans are a $400 unexpected expense away from bankruptcy.
That's Bidenomics in action. You think I'm kidding? Bidenomics.
Wow,
How sad is that?
You know
How
what?
sad is that? And allegedly, though.
You know what? This is what you vote for. And you've been voting for it for years. You know what I'm saying? Now, if we look back, many people will say, well, I had it good. I had it with this president. I had it with that president, and things were good. No, it wasn't. It was only good in the overstanding of certain presidents doing certain things. But that doesn't mean that they were doing it in order to sustain it as it should be. So even if you had a good year, a good 4 years maybe, you know what I'm saying? Or maybe even 8 years, you know what I'm saying? You still had the same attack on Republicans who probably brought that prosperity and Democrats who probably had tried to do the same. But being affiliated as a Demon Democrat over the years, it went right back to the same thing and now worse. So we have to start paying attention because look at who you voted for. I mean, let's look at that again. Let's look at that again. Let's look at that again. Hold up. Hold up. Right here.
1K is crashing because the economy is so good. That's what he just doesn't get it.
Your 401k is crashing because the economy is great.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that's been one of the things that they've been trying to push out here is this narrative.
Illusion is a son of a gun, isn't it? You know what I'm saying? Now, when you read the scriptures, you know, I don't follow their scripture, nor their Bible, nor their God. Now, when we look, because we could debate that all day, where they got it from. You know what I'm saying? And we know that there's religions older than Catholicism and Judaism. You know what I'm saying? Because the African people was the ones who had majority of that across the land. You can simply tell that by going to Europe and looking at the artifacts, the different churches and the different statues and stuff that's in their churches. Majority of them, and many of them are black. You know what I'm saying? And when you go into their basement and look at their books and all this different stuff, you'd see that majority of their books have depictions of black people. So we know for well that, you know what I'm saying, that has been one of the major things that people seem to have attached to. You know what I'm saying? And I don't follow that in no shape or form. You know what I'm saying? But in the economical understanding of things, you see where you voted for these people. You know what I'm saying? And by you voting for them, over these many years, you have even allowed them to believe that something is getting good. But like I said, when we go back to their fake-ass scriptures, one of the things that people is missing in their fake-ass scriptures is this. The fact that, you know, Satan itself, you know what I'm saying, can give you this and give you that, but he's not. It's people that's doing that. It's not Satan, because that's bullshit. But at the same time, we're still going to use their narrative. You know what I'm saying? He's known for using illusions and deception as a part of the way of conning people into believing in him, such as he'll give you or they'll give you whatever you want. Say, for instance, you signed your name in their Luciferian bullshit with your blood and all that shit. They'll give you millions, trillions. Not Satan, the people who call themselves following that illusion, that fakeism and garbage. No wonder we have 6 Baphomet statues in front of 6 state buildings in the South. You see what I'm saying? But these people that are talking, notice their face when they say what they say and how they say it. They're fucking you over and laughing at you all the way to your destruction. But you continue to vote for them for every year, believing in everything they told you about the Republican Party and Trump. Now watch. Watch their face.
That that everything is all sunshine and rainbows and peachy and it's all good, and it's just like, nah. The American people know what's going on. We feel it. We go to the grocery store. We pump gas, right? We pay bills. We see what's going on. This stuff is just getting out of control. But let's hear it from their mouths themselves.
Most Americans are a $400 unexpected expense away from bankruptcy.
You see her face?
That's Bidenomics in action. You think I'm kidding? Bidenomics.
How sad is that? How sad is that? And allegedly, those two clips were, I want to say, on the same day.
I hate to curse.
They were giving a speech, in two different places on the same day, if I remember that situation correctly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. One situation away from, catastrophe. And in the other situation, he says, oh, Bidenomics is working. Yeah, I guess in a way he's telling the truth, in a way. Because Bidenomics, I think the whole purpose was to lower the standard of living. I think that's the whole purpose of all of this, is to lower the standard of living, to bring it down, to slowly bring us to our knees, right? And keep pushing out this narrative of everything is good, everything is good, everything is great, everything's okay, blah, blah, blah. Things are on the up and up. Look at inflation, it's down to 3%. No, it's not actually down to 3%, but we're not going to get into that whole long explanation. I mean, do I need to explain it? Really? I mean, look at your grocery store bill. I mean, that explains it right there. But let's jump into this clip that I wanted you guys to see, just because of how wild it is. Let's dive into it.
You talk about the insulin costs being reduced and the caps on prescription, and all that's great for people who do this regularly. But for most people, it's grocery stores and gas stations. Those are the places where they're spending money out of pocket most regularly. What do you say to them? I mean, other than just hang tight, it's getting better, because there doesn't seem to be anything in the bill and in the legislation that addresses that specifically. Is that right?
I would say that of the stresses on families every day, healthcare costs are one of their paramount concerns. And we know that pharmaceutical costs, drug costs, are driving healthcare costs up. And I'd say prescription drug costs are very resonant with the American people, and that is why prescription drug costs
Now, if anybody would believe this idiot, and that other idiot standing over there, and the other one, black ass nigga, you know what I'm saying? Jean Claude Nutcase ass, yeah, disgracing she probably a Haitian and disgracing Haiti, you know what I'm saying? In all ways, when we know Haiti is a great set of people on planet Earth, you know what I'm saying? This idiot is up there talking about she's the press secretary, propaganda queen. But if you listen to what they're saying carefully, she's not making any sense. What she's doing is mumbo jumbo, you know what I'm saying? Answer, and then we good. Listen to it again.
I think the whole purpose was to lower the standard of living. I think that's the whole purpose of all of this, is to lower the standard of living, to bring it down, to slowly bring us to our knees, right? And keep pushing out this narrative of everything is good, everything is good, everything is great, everything's okay, blah, blah, blah. Things are on the up and up. Look at inflation, it's down to 3%. No, it's not actually down to 3%, but we're not going to get into that whole long explanation. I mean, do I need to explain it? Really? I mean, look at your grocery store bill. I mean, that explains it right there. But let's jump into this clip that I wanted you guys to see, just because of how wild it is. Let's dive into it.
You talk about the insulin costs being reduced and the caps on prescription, and all that's great for people who do this regularly. But for most people, it's grocery stores and gas stations. Those are the places where they're spending money out of pocket most regularly. What do you say to them? I mean, other than just hang tight, it's getting better, because there doesn't seem to be anything in the bill, in the legislation that addresses that specifically. Is that right?
I would say that of the stresses on families every day, healthcare costs are one of their paramount concerns. And we know that pharmaceutical costs, drug costs, are driving healthcare costs up. And I'd say prescription drug costs are very resonant with the American people, and that is why prescription drug costs, addressing prescription.
Now, common sense. If people ain't got common sense by now to see this shit is a fucking crazy ass administration that you voted for. I mean, you was out there. You even had black reporters out there, clowning or trying to clown Republicans, which they didn't. Even when they were all out there and people were protesting and all that, you had a black reporter, well, why are you voting for Trump? And she thought, and grinning with a Luciferian blood-sucking fucking jackass ass nigga. Blood-sucker bitch. Sorry, but this is the truth. She out there clowning the white woman, asking her questions, and laughing as if it's a big joke, as if, this black woman is sitting up there, laughing with the destruction of the United States. This is black people for you. Somebody have desensitized their mind to what I call a suicidal mind frame. And we've got to cut this out. Because you could clearly hear right here, that's nothing but mumbo jumbo. So while the reporter was out there trying to clown the Republican lady, the white lady, she was the one looking like the clown. But nobody seen her, did they? We can go back and I wish I could see that clip again. And she was trying to clown the white woman, the Republican white woman that was out there protesting, and grinning and laughing, knowing that they were going to cheat the election, knowing that it caused all this to happen in the Demon Democrat. It was all Soros, Biden, all of them in a one conglomerate, fucking treasonous, plan. And she's out there trying to clown the lady. And the reporter, the black, dumb, idiot woman, was the one looking like the clown. But she couldn't see that, could she? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why they send in the clowns. You know what I'm saying? Remember the last election where they had the clowns out there clowning and doing dumb shit and people were beating them up and all this different stuff? You know what I'm saying? That's probably what Hillary Clinton did that, along with the Demon Democrats, to try to keep people from going to the polls. You know what I'm saying? Because many of the polls sometimes run, in the nighttime and so on. You know what I'm saying? But she was out there, really out there, trying to clown the woman, when the reporters that were out there doing that for the Biden administration and the clock-head motherfuckers, you know what I'm saying, because she was working for the Demon Democrat, that reporter, or whatever she called herself doing, you know what I'm saying, and thinking that you were clowning, but it was going to show that they were laughing all the way to the bank of the separation of people while they push forward, you know what I'm saying, and pushing illusions, because like the other guy said, 89% of black people voted Demon Democrat, but I believe it was 91 to 95% black people that voted for Demon Democrats. You know what I'm saying? So they voted for open border policy to flood in the country 4.9 million or more people. They voted for what's the other shit? Oh, the Afghan withdrawal that killed soldiers and betrayed our soldiers and left them on the battlefield, you know what I'm saying, to die. And many of the different interpreters and the Afghans that were working with them, and they left them to die. You know what I'm saying? They voted for a debt ceiling, blow the roof off the mother debt ceiling, constantly spending. They voted for funding Ukraine. You know what I'm saying? And they voted for NATO to use Ukraine as a way to slick us into the war. And you know what I'm saying? Which they have slick us into this war. You know what I'm saying? And they continue down the same path. So all we seeing here is the same shit. You voted for a whole lot of garbage. You even voted for the vax. You voted for the pandemic. You voted for, and I bet you at this point you are feeling the pressure of that bullshitical decision and lion-ass pandemic scheme by Soros, Andy Fauci, the killing weasel, and Bill the motherfucking Baphomet Gates. You know what I'm saying? And all the rest of these motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? Now the migrants are coming into your community. You know what I'm saying? They're putting them in your community, and you out there screaming your motherfucking lungs out. You should have did that by your vote. You know what I'm saying? You let them doctor films of Trump saying things he didn't say. You let them trumped up charges against him, even going into the man's personal business, which we don't give a flying crap and did not want to know about because it didn't make no sense to none of us anyway. And what good was it doing because we're not getting the money he was getting? You know what I'm saying? We were not involved in no real estate scheme. We don't care about no real estate. We don't. So what was Letitia James really doing? I'm still asking that question. And asylum keep on her goddamn head. Because you are a black woman and you're supposed to be standing up for the goddessness of the original mother of the cosmic overstanding in itself. While you are over here doing garbage, talking about his real estate records, and we don't need to go to court because we have so much evidence. Who gives a flying fuck? Excuse me, give a flying crap? What? We're talking about the country as a whole, not Donald Trump's personal business. That was to never come on to any kind of platform skill based on any type of news. So Letitia James, as an attorney general of you a demon, blood clot, damn sellout. You are just another one of the product of the garbage. And along with this garbage right here that Doc Rich is now putting on their behinds, because he's a great reporter. He is definitely a great journalist. You know what I'm saying? This man, I would do business with him, and we get a journalist, man. But let's get back to show the garbage and how they talk and the stuff that you would believe. So I've come to the conclusion that a lot of people, you know what I'm saying, black people especially, are not politically strong in its overstanding. They're followers. 91 to 95% vote Demon Democrat. How long you been doing that and getting your butt kicked is the question. But let's get back to Doc Rich and listen to the garbage that this woman says out of her mouth. Notice how she's stammering and she's dip and all this different stuff. Notice it. Now watch it here. Let's go back to Doc Rich.
It is. Let's dive into it.
You talk about the insulin costs being reduced and the caps on prescription, and all that's great for people who do this regularly. But for most people, you know, it's grocery stores and gas stations. Those are the places where they're spending money out of pocket most regularly. What do you say to them? I mean, other than just hang tight, it's getting better, because there doesn't seem to be anything in the bill and in the legislation that addresses that specifically. Is that right?
I would say that of the stresses on families every day,
watch your stomach.
Healthcare costs are one of their paramount concerns.
That's how you know she's lying.
And we know that pharmaceutical costs, drug costs, are driving healthcare costs up.
Bull.
And I'd say prescription drug costs are very resonant with the American people, and that is why prescription drug costs.
No, prescription drug costs has resonated with the people. Yeah, you making them sick by the foods and the garbage and the bullshit that you and the pharmaceutical companies are probably doing to the people's food. You know what I'm saying? In many ways, not everybody eats themselves into bad health. Not everybody. So many of the foods, even the good foods that we think are good, that's supposed to be good and do good, are being infiltrated by these beasts. And then notice what she said. The pharmaceutical company is driving the healthcare costs up. But you are the government, and you're supposed to be regulating the pharmaceutical company. So who's running our country? The pharmaceutical companies or the government? Where's the regulations?
addressing prescription drugs and lowering prescription drug costs is a key part of the Inflation Reduction Act.
Keep paying attention.
President has.
Watch.
I would say that of the stresses on families every day, healthcare costs are one of their paramount concerns.
Listen.
And we know that pharmaceutical costs, drug costs, are driving healthcare costs up. And I'd say prescription drug costs are very resonant with the American people, and that is why prescription drug costs, addressing prescription drugs and lowering prescription drug costs, is a key part of the Inflation Reduction Act. The President has fought very hard for these provisions. Many have tried and failed, and he succeeded in getting the Congress for the first time to ensure that we have Medicare drug negotiation. These prices are a big component of what people are experiencing every day in terms of high costs. And we can see from public polling why there is such a great demand. And despite pharma's attacks over the course of a year, the past Congress actually passed this legislation.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you, guys. I just want to add, many people ask what Bidenomics is, and this is it, right? This is a key part of Bidenomics when you think about the Inflation Reduction Act, when you think about investing in America, when you think about lowering costs, when you think about making a tax code fair, when you think about creating union jobs, good paying jobs. This is part of this. And what we're seeing on the other side of Pennsylvania is congressional Republicans who are trying to repeal this. Trying to repeal a piece of legislation that is historic and also the biggest, largest investment as we're thinking about climate change, as we're talking about.
You see how she's veering off into an attack on the Republicans? Now, this has nothing to do with the Republicans because under Trump, the prescription bills were lower. You know what I'm saying? We had a lower drug prescription costs that were staying at a certain level. When they and before and even coming up to Trump and even after Trump, during the corruption and the garbage, to where the point she can't even answer the question. The only thing she threw in there real quick, notice, was the Republicans trying to repeal. The Republicans is not trying to repeal the bullshit. I mean, the Republicans are trying to repeal the bullshit so they can get a level and an understanding on the drug cost itself. She's trying to make it seem like it's all right for the demon Democrats to weaponize and keep their weaponry going. And she's facilitating right along with the demon Democrats and the Ku Klux Klan. So she's definitely working with the beast. We know that for a fact because she's lying. Listen to what she says. Listen to what she says when she...
Very hard for these provisions. Many have tried and failed, and he succeeded in getting the Congress for the first time to ensure that we have Medicare drug negotiation. These prices are a big component of what people are experiencing every day in terms of high costs. And we can see from public polling why there is such a great demand. And despite pharma's attacks over the course of a year, the past Congress actually passed this legislation.
Listen. She's lying. She lied.
Thank you. Thank you.
That woman's not a...
All right, thank you, guys. I just want to add, many people ask what Bidenomics is, and this is it, right? This is a key part of Bidenomics when you think about the Inflation Reduction Act, when you think about investing in America, when you think about lowering costs, when you think about making a tax code fair, when you think about creating union jobs, good paying jobs. This is part of this. And what we're seeing on the other side of Pennsylvania is congressional Republicans who are trying to repeal this, trying to repeal a piece of legislation that is historic and also the biggest, largest investment as we're thinking about climate change, as we're talking about You heard from, clearly you've heard from the administrator twice this week of FEMA talking about what's going on in Hawaii and the extreme weather that many Americans are feeling across the country. And they want to repeal a piece of legislation that's actually going to make a difference and make sure we're doing clean energy, make sure that the manufacturing companies are coming back to this country and actually doing things like electric vehicles, charging stations, as you heard from the president when he was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And so that is what we are trying to communicate through all of you to the American people. And that's
she is fucking retarded. Are you serious? You believe that shit she just said? She get jumped into climate control. Yeah, you controlling the climate. You garbage ass. In the minds of the people, probably. But I don't know about that other shit she done. And talking about she's trying to get all this across the American people. How the hell are you going to get that garbage you just said across to anyone? And anyone in their right mind. You see how they was using the Republicans' name in order to shame Republicans and keep them in a bad light and continue. Even when it comes to the migrant problem, it's the same bullshit. You see what I'm saying? People have to start to wake up here now. I can't believe this type of rhetoric. Anybody was believing and had believed, even when it came to Jen Psaki lying, crooked, Luciferian ass. Something is wrong with people if you can't see past this garbage.
what we're going to.
Goodness gracious. Oh, talk about a tap dance.
Thank you.
Talk about a tap dance. What a spectacular performance, huh?
Yes, you're right. Yes, you're right about that.
Woo! Right. Not really going after the actual question, just skips right on over, gas prices and food and, let's talk about, this over here. Oh, man. But, hey, men lie, women lie. The numbers don't lie, right? What people are actually going through in real life doesn't lie. What a shame. What a shame. How sad has this gotten? When you talk about Bidenomics, the lowering of cost, lowering of what cost? When you talk about climate, I don't give a yeah. Excuse me. Okay. Oh, man. Do any of y'all care about, this agenda to spend a bunch of money on the climate? Y'all let me know in the comment section. Y'all let me know. Talk to me, please. Because that seems to be like the recurring thing that they always go back to. Oh, in this inflation, we had this big old thing in here, and, you see, look what's going on with, Hawaii, which I have a lot to say about that as well. I've heard some things. Y'all want to see a video on that? Should I make a video on the Hawaii situation? I feel like I'm a little late, so maybe I'll talk about it briefly in a different video instead of making it a whole video. But if y'all want it, I'll bring it. Y'all let me know. And let me know what you thought about this little press briefing, whatever you want to call it, in the comment section below. Like, share, comment. Hit that subscribe button before you go. Peace and love. I'm out.
America is on the cusp of the greatest power outage in American history, but the mainstream media refuses to report on this. Did you know that Russia right now is preparing for a silent attack that will be unlike anything we've ever experienced? The worst part about it, our own administration is allowing it. To see how you can get ahead of this and be fully prepared, visit the next page.